before the show is over or not, and whether
Oh, lovely.
I hold on to power. Um, no show tomorrow. I got stuff to do, and I'm just not, I want to just be able to get it done and not have to,
No,
you know,
okay.
because I got to hit the road Friday morning. So, all right, stand by. Another night of severe weather. This time, it's over me. We've got tornado watches throughout much of the state of Georgia, and a couple of other places too dealing with that. Severe thunderstorm watches. And in the Northeast and Mid Atlantic states, our low from last night has pulled away. However, the next weather system comes in to bring more showery rains and maybe some thunder and a few heavier downpours during the latter part of Thursday into Thursday night. All that and so much more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. So it's close. I'll bring the radar up right away just to show you how close. And
It's a twister.
it's
It's a
a
twister.
twister. But there it is on the radar. And you'll see, Joe, that there's a nice looking line in there of showers and storms in eastern Tennessee, just moved into northwest Georgia. I'm in that dry hole in between that and the area of showers and storms that's going on throughout much of central Georgia, where we've got numerous severe thunderstorm warnings there and into South Carolina. But it's a race. Do those thunderstorms get here before the show is out? And will they knock my power out? That's the other big question.
It will indeed be an interesting race. The thin narrow lines, I think, are the ones that you have to watch for. So we'll be seeing what transpires. I think actually we'll be done before that line gets to you. And
Okay, good.
does does uh,
That works for me.
does JJ you said your other dog used to bark at the lightning and the thunder.
He
Does he
would
do that, or does he
actually,
run
yeah,
under the
my
couch?
old dog Cody used to run toward thunderstorms and he would bark at them as if to say, "You don't belong here, you need to leave." He had no fear. I mean, he would go, the thunder and lightning would start. He would want to go outside and he would start barking, looking toward wherever it was coming from and just barking at it and barking at it. But he wasn't one to be scared if it was in the middle of the night. And JJ also, he doesn't he doesn't, at least so far, at least with the thunderstorms I've had here, doesn't even flinch. My friends all tell me that their dogs come running into bed with them and hiding and they're afraid, but he isn't. So I don't know. I get I have the odd ones.
Yeah, well, we'll we'll see on that. I was just checking the chat board. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss tonight anybody on a possible super chat hit, but it's early in the ball game, so
Okay.
we'll see how that all pans out. A lot of people just saying hi and commenting about the fact that the Yankees, for example, have postponed their game until Friday. And today is a very interesting and rather auspicious anniversary in New York weather history. 40 years ago, Joe, we had a blizzard in New York. 40 years ago, 9.6 inches of snow fell at Central Park, more to the north and to the west of New York City. And it was really, yeah, it's one thing to get that much snow this late in the season, but what really impressed me even more than the snow is the cold weather that enveloped the area right afterwards. Normally at this time of the year, if you do get a sizable snowfall within a day, if not less than a day, it's pretty much all gone because the sun comes out the next day. It's a high sun and everything melts off. Not so with this storm 40 years ago. After the storm passed, well, actually, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th of April were record low temperature days, which still stand to this day. April 7th was a record minimum high temperature. The highest temperature, despite bright sunshine, was only 30 degrees. There were roaring winds even after the storm passed. And the Yankees were supposed to opened the season on this day 40 years ago against the Texas Rangers. And of course, naturally, they did not. But what is interesting is that they didn't play the following day. They didn't play on the 8th. They didn't play on the 9th. They didn't play on the 10th. They finally got a chance to play baseball at the big ballpark in the South Bronx on April the 11th, which was Easter Sunday that year of 82. And because they had lost so many games, they actually played a doubleheader. It was the first time, I think, in history that they ever had a doubleheader on opening day, and the Yankees lost both games.
Right.
In fact, they got shut out in the second game, and the first game they lost in extra innings. But that stretch of weather, incredibly cold and snowy, and it all was on this day in 1982, April the 6th.
Yeah, I don't know how you play baseball in that cold anyway. I mean, it's every
And
swing of the bat's got a
and
sting.
here's now, don't forget who owned the Yankees back then. It was George Steinbrenner, who was like a fanatic, and sometimes he was even this shy of crazy. And the day before, everybody's talking about big snowstorm, cold temperatures, blizzard, 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 and you would think that, knowing that the Yankees would have canceled the game the day before. In fact, that's what today they canceled tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
They've saw the forecast, they've seen all the rain and everything else, and so they said, "All right, we're not playing tomorrow," and they canceled. In '82, the Yankees did not cancel that game until 8 o'clock in the morning, the day of the blizzard when it was snowing fast and furious. They waited until 8 a.m. to finally officially say, "We're not playing today."
You have to wonder whether they had these huge doubts in their minds because in those days I don't even know if they even had a weather service working for them, and it was far different in terms of what was available because unless you were worked for a company that had a lot of money, you didn't have access to satellites, you didn't have access to radars. This was very much pre-internet and pre-World Wide Web, so. But you have to wonder whether they just kind of sat around and said, they're always wrong, so um, we'll just wait till the next day. And yeah, then I was just trying to figure out how these days where when they do the Mets games, I know they wait to the last minute to cancel on purpose so that they could uh, get all the money from the
Yeah,
parking lot and they don't refund that back,
right.
which I think is just appalling. But
But
that's the world
you
we
got
live
to you
in,
got to understand, Joe. I mean, the guy who owns the Mets now, Cohen. I mean, he's a pauper. He needs all the money he can get.
I
So if he can get
guess.
it if he could scalp it off of the longtime Met fans by having them park in the lot and then cancel the game, that's the way it goes.
All right. Oh well.
That's how you
Um,
that's how you end up amassing millions and billions of dollars.
I guess. All right, so a couple of scheduling notes. So there will be no show tomorrow. So we're adding that. Yesterday we mentioned that the next 2 Sundays there would be no Sunday show. Well, now let's also add tomorrow. I've got things to do. So no show tomorrow and no show on Sunday. So after tonight, the next time that you will see us will be on Monday. And the other thing I wanted to just mention is on my YouTube channel page. I'll show it to you here. I'm going to bring it up. So when you go to my YouTube channel page, if you click on the community tab, you can get my website posts and other things that I post on here. So you can not only see the videos, but you can read what my forecast thinking is for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, and it's all there in one place. Plus, you can leave comments and you can interact by leaving comments, and then I will of course respond to them ASAP. So I just wanted to bring that up front and center. So let's go to tornadohq.com, which is a nice site if you want to watch severe weather with the appropriate, with all the corresponding severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings that go with it. This is a current picture, And you see there's 4 warnings, mostly across central Georgia. This is all south of Atlanta. And to the northwest of me, and it's hard to see the state lines here, but I'm kind of sitting. I'll see if I can put a little dot as to where I am, but I'm just like right about here, okay, roughly. And there is the line of storms that is moving southeastward, and that is going to be coming through here probably within an hour or so. So we got to end the show, Joe, in time for me to not only get off the air before these thunderstorms come, but I have to take JJ out for one last walk. But for now, there were some tornado warnings earlier. We just got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has popped up. This is located near over St. Louis, Georgia, or near Perry, moving east at 25 miles an hour, and that's north of Albany, Georgia. They pronounce it the same way as Albany, New York. So there you go. And there's a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings up at the moment in parts of South Carolina as well. The tornado warning, let's see, 4 minutes ago, a new tornado warning. Oh, here we go. We've got a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located on I-75 at exit 16. So that's pretty far south in Georgia, or 6 miles south of Valdosta, moving east at 20 miles an hour. And there's another tornado warning that's going to expire in 2 minutes. Probably it's gone from the map, so they probably already took it down. Actually, it looks like an extension of the same one I just read. So that tornado warning that is up, I just read, replaces the one that was up earlier today. Otherwise, it's just been mostly severe thunderstorm warnings this evening. And of course, if you're watching this on a replay, folks, always remember that what you're seeing obviously is dated. It's 7:44 Eastern Time. So please sure to go to your local National Weather Service office forecast page to get the latest up-to-date information on any severe weather that may be going on. And you can do that by going to weather.gov. We've got 2 tornado watches. Actually, now I'm under. Am I under that tornado watch? No, I'm not. Oh, look at that.
Of
The,
course, Joe, you're never under anything. They they say, oh, Shafi's house over there.
well,
Oh no,
hold on.
well we can't do
Let
that.
me refresh this because they're missing one. Ah, there it is. So the one that's just to my northwest, the county just to the west of me, Fannin County, they're in a tornado watch. I'm about, I don't know, maybe about 15 miles from the county line. So I'm just outside that tornado watch that's getting whittled away in eastern Tennessee and into northwest Georgia. There are 2 other working tornado watches in central and southern Georgia, and then you have one now in covering much of South Carolina as that area moves on to the area of showers and storms there moves on to the east, and you can see it on the loop here. There's this big cluster. Then you've got the line. There's some other showers and maybe 1 or 2 weaker thunderstorms moving into western parts of West Virginia and into southeast Ohio. Meanwhile, in the northeast, which this morning I woke up to look at the radar and it was pretty loaded with rain, but that pulled away, and now the radars are fairly quiet in the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states. How much rain did you get last night and this morning?
Not too much. We picked up about. I was up early this morning, and if there was anything added on to that, it was very slight, like 0.26 inches. So we did not see. I heard that some places in central and southern Jersey, like near Tom's River, picked up like almost 2 inches of rain.
Oh yeah,
but it didn't. It didn't quite. It did not quite reach those. Now, granted, tomorrow I think could see locally. We might get anywhere from, depending upon how much convection gets mixed in here, I think anywhere from a half to maybe 1¼ inches of rain here. We do have a risk for thunderstorm or thunder shower activity later in the day tomorrow and into early tomorrow night. And it looks like, especially tomorrow afternoon into early tomorrow night, it could be coming down at a pretty good clip here. So of the 2 days, the 2 wet days, tomorrow certainly looks a lot wetter than what we had here locally today. By the way, Joe, we also have a auspicious anniversary that was brought up by Johnny Quest, asking, was it on this date in 1974 that we had a huge tornado outbreak? And yes, I believe They called it the super outbreak of tornadoes. And the one place in the bunch that, or the one town that got hit exceedingly hard, almost wiped off the map, was Xenia, Ohio. That stands out in my memory from all of these years ago. And yeah, I don't even remember how many tornadoes broke out between like the 5th and 7th, or the 6th and the 8th of April, or whatever. But it was a tremendous number. They called it again the super outbreak, and that was back on this day, or this one of these days in 1974. Wow.
Yeah, that I remember that actually made front pages on the Daily News. Must have been a slow news day in New
Yes.
York that on that day. By the way, take a look at the radar, and what stands out to me is the fact that if you look at the radar echoes themselves, the sort of banded nature of all of this, but uh, they're all turning in a counterclockwise fashion around a very large surface and upper air storm system sitting in the in the northwestern part of the Great Lakes. And this really illustrates the problem for Friday and Saturday because right through here, if you follow these echoes along, uh, that's what it looks like in the upper atmosphere. You've got a deep trough. Come on, there you go. Draw for me. You've got this deep trough that is formed that and a cutoff low that is forming over northern Wisconsin. And the thing is, we can't really get into genuine improvement until that whole trough moves offshore, and that's not going to happen until Sunday. So that's going to leave us in a rather cold and unstable atmosphere aloft on Friday and on Saturday, and that is going to throw in clouds in the mix. There'll probably be some sun, I think, both days, but there'll also be clouds. And during the afternoon hours, there's probably going to be some scattered showers. And in parts of upstate New York and western Pennsylvania, it'll probably be in the form of snow showers. This is a very cold upper air feature that is in the eastern part of the United States. It just kind of occurred to me, Joe. I wonder, because this happened last weekend. I wonder if we could get maybe some low top convection with this deep upper trough and maybe even a little bit of hail or grapple in some places.
You mean just aside from, because I mentioned in the forecast for Friday and Saturday, uh, chance for a few showers, a few light showers or sprinkles. Now suddenly, you bring to the fore the possibility of one of those cases where the low top convection may take shape. And something in thinking about it, although I'd like to look at
The upper air
the
again.
temperatures at the upper air at like 700 and 500 to see just how cold. Now, I don't think it'll match what we saw a couple of weeks ago when we had that
Yeah.
exceedingly cold pool of air pass through the Northeast. But yeah, that is a good point. That is a very good point. And
And,
then certainly this is the time of the year that you would see something like that.
right. Well, we'll have to also look to see in the upper air if there's like in that broad upper low that's moving eastward, is there some kind of little shortwave in there, the sort of a distinct kink that is swinging around as well as a mechanism for triggering off the showers. And if it's a shortwave with any kind of value to it, let's say, in order for that to happen. But we'll take a look and see. And meanwhile, don't want to skip over tomorrow because we do have a chance for showers and storms for tomorrow. The Storm Prediction Center for Thursday still has not pushed. I was thinking they might put the marginal risk up a little further north, but they've held it there in southern Delaware. And a slight risk in southeastern Virginia and eastern North Carolina. Also, in Florida, in northern and central Florida, an area of slight risk of severe weather being indicated. Now, we just went through what happened last weekend where they had to cancel all those flights because of the severe weather that was over Florida. So hopefully it doesn't happen again, or certainly not to the extent that we saw over the weekend. But other than that, it's general thunderstorms that run all the way up into Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. I'm still going to say the possibility that there could be an isolated severe thunderstorm, Joe, with the triple point of the occluded front, the warm front, and the cold front moving basically right along the coastal plain and up just west of New York City. That there might be a small cluster of where there's an isolated thunderstorm or two in there. Maybe one of them winds up getting to be on the strong side. That's the one thing I would look for tomorrow.
And in the aftermath of that, again, as we just noted, unstable air with us Friday and into Saturday. Now, Sunday is Palm Sunday, and it looks like that'll be the better of the two weekend days. I don't think we'll have to worry too much about that day. Bright and sunny to kick off next week on Monday. And even though there may be a few clouds around Tuesday and Wednesday, the thing about early next week, Monday and especially Tuesday and Wednesday, the big warming trend that'll be heading our way. In fact, we'll be probably close to 70 on Tuesday and maybe as high as the mid 70s when we get to Wednesday of next week. So it's looking nice and warm for a change and dry too after all of this dreck that we've had to put up with in terms of rain and in terms of unseasonably chilly temperatures. And
Yep.
also, I think, Joe, because of the instability of the atmosphere, I think Friday and Saturday will start out with basically calm winds, and in the afternoon, I think things will start to mix, so to speak, and so we may see some rather breezy conditions whip up by later in the day Friday, and again later in the day on Saturday as well.
Just want to mention too, those risk areas come with tornado risk tomorrow. A 5% risk in southeast Virginia and northeastern North Carolina, 2% for the rest of the area there, and a general 2% risk being indicated over northern and central Florida. So that's for tomorrow, and then for Friday into Saturday. We have really not too much going on. They've got general thunderstorm risk for southeastern New England. The line actually touches the western edge of that touches eastern Long Island. That's probably just left over from whatever was moving through Thursday night into Friday morning, and also maybe some general thunderstorms in southernmost Florida. But the rest of the country is pretty quiet. We do have some long range risk from the Storm Prediction Center, starting with day 6, which is Monday and Tuesday. It's Monday into Tuesday of next week, where we have a 15% risk area. That's equivalent to a slight risk being indicated for north central Texas on up into eastern Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas, and then just a little bit further east, pushing into Arkansas, Missouri, southwest Missouri, northwest Louisiana for day 7, which is Tuesday into Wednesday. So as we all know, whenever we see it in the long range, it's usually SPC's way of telling us that one needs to pay attention to such things. Here's what it looks like on the satellite tonight, and let me make this just a little bit bigger. Hang on, let's just a little zoom there, and you see our storm system from overnight and early this morning moving away to the east rather quickly as it's being kicked by this very, very large upper air. It's not particularly. It's strong, but it's not some really crazy strong storm here. The upper air feature is what's probably even more impressive than the surface feature, as it just sort of spins away. And you notice there's not much eastward progression, at least for now. And that's why we're going to have to deal with a couple of days of instability, because that whole thing has to just get out of the way before we can see some genuine improvement. And here's what it looks like. This is actually, I brought up the new GFS. I already moved it up to next Thursday, so let's roll it back and take a look at what we can expect to happen here uh, for tomorrow. Now, the storms in the southeast are obviously revving up tonight, and they move into the Carolinas. You've got this big arm coming around that. Notice the surface low up in Wisconsin just really doesn't move very much overnight into tomorrow morning, and you've got clusters of downpours running around tomorrow morning, mainly north and west of the coast, and then it starts to fill in uh, by early afternoon, and then begins its switch to the east. And there's that low center I was talking about there, Joe, on the triple point. So let me draw the map here. Let's draw. So you've got your occluded front into where the low is, and there's your low center, and there's a warm front that's right there. So right in that point that all three of those fronts meet, the occluded, the cold, and the warm, is where you get the low on the triple point. And you see that the GFS is trying to show a couple of little yellow bands of yellow there on the radar echo. So we'll see if that winds up holding together or not. And then the low pulls away, and then of course you see on Friday and Saturday all that instability Friday afternoon, mainly north and west of the coast. But I think, Joe, you're right to put it in the forecast. And on Saturday, also same thing. Um, so it's the right thing to do to put it in the forecast. By the way, it's got snow down Saturday afternoon into the Western Carolina mountains, almost to me. Uh, Although I'm going to be down in Florida, so I wouldn't be able to see it. But that'd be pretty cool if I come back and find out from my friends that tell me, "Oh, did you know that it snowed last Saturday?" Here we are in the first 10 days of April, still talking about white stuff down the southern Appalachians. And Sunday, probably we could, I don't know, you could put it in, you could leave it out. I think that's up to the individual forecaster. Monday, the low finally pulls away, and we'll start the warm up. The one thing, Joe, I would just want to be a little careful of is that there's just a little bit of a backdoor front there, a little bit of a weakness in New England. It looks like it wants to stay mostly north of New York City, which means everybody to the south and west of there should warm up nicely. I don't know if I believe the possibility that there be some showers on Monday night into Tuesday morning, maybe in the transition over into the warmer air. But again, I want to just keep an eye on this. It might slow the warm up down by a day, but eventually it does get in here, I think. And then, of course, as we go to the latter part of the week, do we wind up seeing some showers come back on Thursday and a cold front on Friday? I don't know. Another deep low to the lakes.
I'm just, I think one of the people on our chat board asking, yes, I think it was Ms. Spallerite asking
Yes.
if we could put up the either the FGen or maybe the upper level maps for the next few days, and that's what I'm calling up right now for you. I'm doing over the eastern United States, so let me just get that here, and then I'll click the share button, and we'll be
And
off to the races with that.
all right, let me switch you. You know, you have to tell the
Uh,
director these things. You have to let the
yes.
director know that that's what you want to do. All right, it's all yours.
So okay. So this is well right now actually 0Z Thursday, April the 7th. And this is the next system that we'll be watching for tomorrow. And you can see there's quite a bit of FGen, a lot of Omega associated with that. And if we move things forward a little bit to 2 a.m. Eastern Time and then 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, that area is now moving into Western Pennsylvania. And then we see it kind of splitting in a way or widening by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And then by tomorrow evening, by 8 p.m., a lot of this activity is still off to the north and west. Now, we would be, at least in accordance to the uh, the precipitation and the quantitative amounts that I looked at earlier, we should already be well into the precip and possible thunderstorm activity for our area, and yet the FGen, the Omega, is still well north and west of here, and it looks like by 2 a.m., Joe, and actually this doesn't make any sense if you're going to use the FGen to try to plot out where prospective thunderstorms will be by 2 a.m., I think 2 a.m. Friday morning, I think we'll be pretty much past all of this mayhem. I think the worst of this is going to be from about 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to 2 a.m. in the morning. After 2 a.m., everything will be exiting. But as you can see, now look at that. Look at that. Then that's according to the 18Z run. You've got the area of Omega and FGen like literally over Western Long Island and New York City. So my question is, will we actually continue to see significant activity, significant rain or shower or thunderstorm activity into the early hours of Friday morning or into Friday morning? That'll be interesting to see if that does pan out. And of course, by 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, all of this is pushed well to the east, and now we're just going to be going into that chilly and unstable airflow coming in from the Great Lakes and Western New York and Western Pennsylvania. So
Well, maybe that's the
that's what we'll
reason.
be looking at for the
Maybe that's why SPC's got that general thunderstorm risk, the western edge for Friday at 12Z, still back in central Connecticut and eastern Long Island, maybe they're looking at this and saying that the models might be too quick in moving the precip out of the way as the energy comes in from the west. And we've seen that happen sometimes where it winds up lagging and taking longer to move on through. So it's not impossible.
Interestingly, a lot of the folks on the chat board, Joe, not talking meteorology, they're talking astronomy,
Oh, by the way,
because in a
raise
couple of days,
you from the nose up, you look fabulous. There you go.
how's that?
Well, that's we'd like to see your whole face. There you go.
I don't know. I just like to slouch. I like to do a lot of slouching in this chair.
I
So here
understand.
I am, the full from top to bottom here. Uh, in a couple of days, on April the 8th, which is Friday, we will be down to 2 years and counting to the great North American total eclipse of the sun that's going to occur from Texas to New England. And a lot of people are asking, are we going to do anything for that? Yeah, we being you and I. Uh, there's actually talk on the chat board I saw earlier, wondering whether or not we could get a group of us together from our Joe and Joe chat board and try to go someplace to experience this.
What is
And
this?
if we miss, this is 2 years from this Friday. It'll
Two
be on
years?
Monday, April the 8th, 2024,
I'm booked.
and
I just checked my calendar. I'm booked.
it just runs from Texas all the way up through the Ohio Valley and into northern New England. And if you miss out on that one, there's the next one in the contiguous United States is in 2044, and actually in the year after
I'm
that, in
sorry, but
2045.
I may very well be dead by then. But go on.
Well, it's something to live for if you're into this sort of thing. Um, but yeah, that's just backing up 2024, and that's my God, it's really coming close now to 2 years. It'll be less than 2 years away on Saturday, so I have to start thinking
Well,
seriously
on the
about
one
what
that seriously, on the one that's 2 years away, is that where do you have to be to get to see totality?
as I said, generally, if you can mentally look at this in your mind, it's from Texas to the Ohio Valley. I think it goes through Arkansas. Let me just see if
So
I
it
could
goes the
call up.
area of totality is going to be north and west of me.
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise,
So
because could have everybody over here for coffee and maybe little cubes of cheese. Well, we could go up to Brasstown Ball, and watch it 5,000 feet up. But if I'm not going to be in the area of totality, then I guess not. But anyway, you're looking.
I'm just looking around here for a, what would be a nice visual here, and then I'll just share it with you. Oh, okay,
I'm
okay.
just
This
go
pretty
ahead and do
much.
that. I'm just
Oh
going to
no,
get a
wait a
glass.
minute.
I'm going to get a glass of water. My room, my room's on fire. Oh.
um. All right. I think I can. I think I found something here. Hold on. I'm amazed, Joe. You still have that tree up.
Yeah, well, it's staying up.
All
Believe.
right. So this is. So I found one here. What is this? 2052. They completely passed over. They completely passed over 2045. Anyway, I hope all of you can see this on your screen. But here's totality, Joe. This is the zone, and along this band, you could see the sun totally covered. This is going to be a pretty good eclipse. It's going to last in some cases as much as 4 minutes or more. Starts down here in Del Rio, goes right over Dallas, Texas, Little Rock, Indianapolis, Buffalo. And I can tell you that the Chamber of Commerce of Buffalo has been working on a plan to try to use this eclipse to entice people to come to Buffalo. The only thing I could ever think of to go to Buffalo would be a total eclipse of the sun. And then it goes all the way up into northern sections of New England, up to Caribou in northern Maine. It also, by the way, will pass over Montreal. and will also touch the maritime provinces of New Brunswick and I believe Prince Edward Island, a little sliver of Nova Scotia on up to Newfoundland. So there you go. And climatologically speaking, climatological long term averages say that your chances of getting good weather or clear skies would be down south over Texas, with the chances deteriorating rapidly as you go up north toward especially the Great Lakes and into upstate New York and New England. In fact, dare I say, in early April, and we're seeing a case like that right now, it can be cold enough for snow at this particular time of the year. You may be snowed out uh, if in the worst case scenario up in this part of the totality zone. So that's what's going to happen in 2 years, a little over 2 years from now, April the 8th, 2024. And again, depending upon where you are, and it really is, I tell people, this has to be on your bucket list. If you've never experienced one of these, you have to at least once see it for yourself. I've been to 13 of these things, most recently in Antarctica, where I saw nothing because it was totally overcast from start to finish. But it did get dark for the few seconds that it was in total eclipse. But if you see this in a clear sky, it is just an unbelievable and spectacular sight to see. It's just it's one of those great moments that you'll always remember for the rest of your life, and that's why it's also very addictive. That's why yours truly has gone to 13 of them, because the first thing out of your mouth after you see one is, "When's the next one? I got to see another one of these."
Yeah.
And for the United States, this is about as good as it can get. I mean, almost 4 minutes of totality, or in some cases more than 4 minutes, and stretching. There are 30. I think Forbes magazine did a calculation, and there are 36 million people who live in the zone of totality, not including all of the millions more that probably will try to get into totality during the day before the eclipse. So there'll be a lot of excitement. 2 years from now, there'll be a lot of excitement, and who knows? Maybe we'll have a bunch of us going and taking a
Well,
look.
Buffalo's not too bad. You get to see go to Niagara Falls, uh, go over on the
Right?
Canadian
You get
go over on the Canadian side. Then you get it's not that far to
you,
take a drive to Jamestown to see to visit
Lucy.
Lucille Ball's grave and the Lucy Museum in town, which actually because I've been there, went a couple of years ago and we've talked about it here. It's actually quite cool. If you're into old television and television history, you have to go and see that. Okay, she also wanted Miss Spalio, right, wanted the upper air, and you can see the deep upper low over the Great Lakes. This is for third. This is starting right now, where it's forming in northwestern Wisconsin, and by the time we get to Friday night, it's still over the state of Michigan. And I'm looking, Joe. There's probably a couple of little short waves embedded in there. There's nothing that really stands out, but there looks like there's a couple of weak short waves in there. So if they time out during the afternoon, maybe somebody could wind up seeing some low top stuff. Perhaps it may wind up being more in upstate New York and in northern New England as opposed to being in areas further to the south. That trough lifts out. We get into a ridge position as a deep trough drops down into the western part of the United States. And we talked about that yesterday with cold weather coming into the west and maybe some late season snows being generated for parts of the plains and the upper Midwest come later next week. But we'll be in that ridge position until a cold front gets through here, probably along about Friday. After that, uh, the upper low strengthens over Newfoundland and southern Labrador. So we kind of got a trough here off the East Coast as we head past Easter Sunday. And there's another strong upper low that comes down over the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. You've got a high that's building up in the North Atlantic over Greenland again, but doesn't quite make it all the way up into northern Greenland. It's more like southern Greenland. But still, the models seem to keep insisting on the fact that after early next week, when we get into that ridge position for 3 days, we go back to troughing in the eastern part of the United States. We'll see if that holds.
We'll see. At least I'm looking forward to. Excuse me. I'm looking forward to ridging in the east for a little while. That will allow for a bit of warming and drying here early next week. However brief or however long it lasts, it looks like at least the first 3 days of next week are going to be pretty darn good. And let's keep our fingers crossed that that does come to pass.
Okay, so let's do a little Briller Jeopardy. Let's run through this and then wrap it up for tonight. It's a baseball theme tonight, Joe. And it's in honor of the start of the baseball season. Who has the most home runs as a New York Met?
I would have to guess, as a New York Met, I would have to guess that would be Darryl Strawberry.
And if you would have guessed Darryl Strawberry, you would have guessed correctly. Who has the most hits as a New York Met and you have to get this within 467 hits? Okay.
Well, for a very long time, that record was held by Ed Kranepool, merely because Ed Kranepool had been with the Mets for like 19 years. I do believe now that the guy who has the most hits is probably David Wright.
And how many hits was that?
How many hits was that? Well, we all know that he had that back injury that curtailed his career. He was around for 14 years. I don't think he had 2,000 hits. I think it was something like, I'll say something like 1,800.
You got it to within 23, 1,777 hits. Who is the Mets' winningest?
Wow.
Who is the Mets' winningest manager?
The Mets' winningest manager would be, I'm going to say Davey Johnson.
And you are correct. And can you want to take a shot at his winning percentage?
Well, the Mets, one of those years, it was 86 when they won the championship. It was something ridiculous. They had it was something like 628 or something like that. But I don't think it was that good in any of the other years that he managed. I'll say 570.
Not bad, 588. What Met has the most triples?
That would have to be somebody who's really fast. So I'll take a wild guess and say Jose Reyes.
And that is correct. What Met struck out the most?
They've had a lot of free swingers. It could be Strawberry. It might be Piazza. But then again, I have an idea that it might be somebody else aside from those two. All right, I'll say Strawberry.
David Wright.
That's right. You're absolutely right. He struck out for all the good that he did as a hitter, he struck out a hell of a lot of times. I think one year he struck out like 160 times. Yeah, that would make sense.
What New York Met pitcher won the most games?
As a Met?
Yes.
I guess as a Met. It would have to be Seaver. I think Seaver won like 191 games with the Mets.
Yes, he did. What Met pitcher lost the most games?
Well, you see, if you're with the team for a long time, it might be Seaver because he was there for a very long time, and if you're there for a long time, you'll be losing a lot of times. So I'll actually say Seaver too.
Jerry Koosman. What Met pitcher has the most saves?
Would that be Orozco?
No.
Jesse Orozco?
No.
No.
Italian.
Oh, Franco.
Thank you. What?
Right?
Right.
John Franco.
That is correct. What are the only two Mets to have played in all 162 games of a season, and they occurred in 1975 and 1999.
Oh, 75. Who would it be in 75?
Da
Um,
da 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 da
oh,
da.
Felix Mion.
That's one.
Felix Mion.
Yes.
That's
Now,
in 1975.
right, and 1999.
99. Well, let's see who was on that team that played all 162 and 99. Um, could it have been Piazza?
No.
I don't think it was Piazza. No.
John Olerud.
John Olerud. How the Mets allowed him to go to leave after the 99 season. He was a hell of a great. He was a first baseman for the Mets, and he hit something like 340 for the Mets in 99. And then the next year he was gone. Well, oh well.
What Met holds the record for most lifetime strikeouts?
Um, would it be Seaver? I'd have to again.
And
I'd have to
that
go back
that
to Seaver.
that is Seaver. Now here's the bonus
Yeah.
question. As of 2022, how many players who played with the Mets are in the Hall of Fame? Is it A, 7, B, 12, C, 17, D, 29?
Can't be 29. And of course, we're talking about players like, for example, Gil Hodges
Right.
just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He never played. Well, he did play for the Mets, however, briefly in 1962 in a small section of 63. I mean, we're not talking about players like Piazza or Seaver who were, you know, real players for the
Right.
Mets. We're talking about Duke Snider was another example. Well, let's see. Wait a minute. So the Mets, Seaver and Piazza and Duke Snider and Gil Hodges and Willie Mays was on it. I'll say 7.
The answer is 17.
17. Again, you have to remember that a lot of those players had very small, bit parts with the Mets. So
Right.
they had a cup of coffee with the Mets.
Right. But it counts. All
Yep.
right. So I guess that.
And thank you, Leon Probitsky tonight on Super Chats, and he is critical hit. So there you go. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you, Leon. Most appreciated. All right, so let me just real quick. Those thunderstorms are getting close, and I got to get JJ outside. Let me take a look. Ooh, yeah,
You know what they say, Joe?
I have just enough time to get him out there.
When thunder roars, stay indoors.
Yes, I
All
know.
right.
Well,
so I guess we'll see you all on Monday.
Right. So no show tomorrow, folks. We'll see you back on Monday at 7:30 Eastern Time. Nighty night, everybody.
Good night.